Hi, I'm Zariah. For 27 years, I've been the mother who never missed a baseball game, a school event, or a birthday. I raised my sons, Marcus and Jamal, as a single mom after their father walked out when they were just 7 and 5. We struggled, but we made it work. At least that's what I thought until last month when I found out exactly where I stood in their lives. Mom, you're being dramatic again, Marcus said, lounging on my sofa while scrolling through his phone. At 32, my eldest son still had the audacity to roll his eyes at me like he was 16. It's just a routine procedure. The doctor said you'd be fine. It's not routine to me, Marcus. I placed my trembling hands on the kitchen counter. It's my heart. And all I'm asking is for you and Jamal to be there when I wake up. We already have tickets to the championship game, Jamal chimed in from the dining table. At 30, my younger son still followed his brother's lead in everything. Can't Aunt Denise take you? She's always hovering anyway. I stared at them, these grown men I'd sacrificed everything for. The game is more important than potentially saying goodbye to your mother? Mom, Marcus groaned. Stop with the guilt trip, you're not dying. The cardiologist said there's a 10% chance of complications. That's not nothing. Jamal shrugged. Those are pretty good odds. My friend Grace walked in carrying grocery bags. She'd been staying with me since my diagnosis. Her eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. What's going on? She asked, setting the bags down. Mom's trying to make us miss the championship game, Marcus explained, as if I were being unreasonable. Grace's mouth fell open. For her heart surgery? Are you kidding me? It's not actual surgery, Jamal corrected. It's just a catheterization thing. With a 10% chance of complications, I repeated. Which means a 90% chance of being totally fine, Marcus countered, standing up. Look, we already paid for these tickets. They were expensive. We can come see you after the game. Grace stepped between us. So, if something happens during the procedure, you'll just leave the 7th inning stretch to say goodbye to your mother? Nothing's going to happen. Marcus threw his hands up. And I'm tired of her using her health to manipulate us. That's when something inside me broke. 27 years of putting them first, and this was my reward. Fine, I said quietly. Go to your game. Later that night, Denise stopped by to check on me. Her face crumpled when I told her what happened. They're not coming to the hospital? She asked, horrified. A baseball game is more important? Apparently, I said, tears finally falling. All those years I spent freezing in bleachers cheering for them, and they can't be bothered to sit in a waiting room for me. What did Thomas say about this? Denise asked, referring to my ex-husband who had reappeared in our sons' lives once they were adults. I haven't told him. You know he always defends them. Denise took my hand. What are you going to do? I stared at the family photo on my wall, a lie captured in time. I'm going to write them a letter. And if something happens to me during that procedure, they'll have to live with it forever. And if nothing happens? Denise asked softly. Then they'll still get the letter, I said. Because something's already happened, Denise. They've shown me exactly who they are. 3 days after my procedure, which I survived despite a minor complication, I sat with Grace at her kitchen table, finalizing my letter. Are you sure about this, Zariah? Grace asked, scanning the pages. Once it's done, there's no going back. They chose a baseball game over being there for me, I said, my voice steady now, and not once have they called to apologize. They sent flowers, Grace pointed out. Flowers? I laughed bitterly. Ordered online with a pre-written message. That's not an apology. That's an afterthought. My phone buzzed with a text from Thomas. We need to talk about the boys. Speaking of afterthoughts, I muttered, showing Grace the message. 20 minutes later, Thomas was pacing Grace's living room. You're overreacting? He insisted, his voice carrying that familiar condescending tone. The boys said you told them it was fine to go to the game. Is that what they told you? I leaned forward. That I gave them permission to abandon me during heart surgery? It wasn't surgery. It was a cardiac catheterization with a risk of complications, which actually happened, by the way. My heart stopped for 30 seconds. Thomas faltered. They didn't mention that part. Of course they didn't, Grace interjected, because they weren't there to know about it. Look, Thomas said, softening his approach. They're young men. They made a mistake. They're 30 and 32, I cut in. That's not young. That's just selfish. What exactly are you planning to do? Thomas asked, eyeing the papers on the table. I'm rewriting my will, for starters, I said. And I'm sending them a letter explaining exactly why. Thomas's face reddened. You'd disinherit your own children over one mistake? One mistake? Denise walked in, having let herself in with her key. Thomas, where were you when Zariah worked 3 jobs to put those boys through college? Where were you when Marcus had appendicitis and she didn't leave his bedside for 3 days? Where were you when Jamal crashed his car and she took out a second mortgage to pay his medical bills? Thomas had the decency to look ashamed. That was different. No, I interrupted. It wasn't. Parents show up. I always showed up for them. Always. What's in the letter? Thomas asked. The truth, I said simply. And a copy of my new will. The house they've been counting on inheriting? It's going to a women's shelter. The savings account? Scholarship fund? The only things they're getting are boxes of all the memorabilia I saved from their childhoods. Every drawing, report card, and baseball trophy. Let them see what they threw away. They'll contest it, Thomas warned. Let them try, Denise said. I've got 6 witnesses who heard them choose a baseball game over their mother's medical procedure. Later, after Thomas left, I called my friend Miguel, who worked at the bank. Did you make those changes we discussed? I asked when he picked up. All done, he confirmed. Joint accounts closed, assets transferred. They no longer have access to any of your funds. And the safety deposit box? Set up in Denise's name as requested. All your documentation is secure. Thank you, Miguel. I know this is awkward since you've known the boys. Stop right there, he interrupted. I've watched those boys take advantage of you for years. This isn't just about the hospital. It's about them treating you like an ATM instead of a mother. When I hung up, Denise looked at me with concern. Are you ready for their reaction when these letters arrive? I sealed the envelopes with steady hands. I've been ready for 27 years. I just didn't know it until now. 2 days later, my doorbell rang incessantly. I knew who it was before I opened the door. Marcus and Jamal stood on my porch, faces flushed with anger, my letters clutched in their hands. What the hell is this? Marcus demanded, pushing past me into the house. I believe it's called consequences, I replied, closing the door behind Jamal. You're cutting us out of your will? Jamal's voice cracked. Over one baseball game? Is that really what you think this is about? I asked, surprisingly calm. Grace emerged from the kitchen. I think I should go. No, I said firmly. Stay, I want a witness. Marcus paced the living room. This is insane! You can't just erase 20 years of family because we missed one hospital visit. 30 years, I corrected. And I'm not erasing anything. I'm responding to what you've shown me. Mom, please. Jamal tried a softer approach. We made a mistake. We're sorry. Are you sorry you did it or sorry there are consequences? Both, he exclaimed. We should have been there. We know that now. You knew it then, Grace interjected. You just didn't care enough. Marcus pointed at Grace. This isn't your business. She made it my business when she asked me to be there instead of her son's, Grace shot back. We can fix this, Jamal pleaded. Just tell us what you want us to do. I looked at my youngest, always the peacemaker, always looking for the easy way out. There's nothing to fix. The letter explains everything. The house you've been waiting to inherit? Gone. The savings accounts you've been borrowing from? Closed to you. The mother who would drop everything for a phone call? Also gone. This is about money? Marcus scoffed. I always knew you were manipulative, but this is a new low. Something in me snapped. Manipulative? I worked 60-hour weeks so you could play travel baseball. I skipped meals so you could have new cleats. I sat through rain delays and extra innings and tournaments in cities I couldn't afford to visit. Also, you wouldn't feel like you had less than the other kids with two parents. We never asked for any of that, Marcus shouted. You never had to ask. That's what parents do. We show up. Well, we're sorry we're not perfect like you, Jamal yelled, tears streaming down his face. I never expected perfect, I said, my voice dropping. I expected human decency, basic gratitude, and when it really mattered, when there was a chance I might not wake up, I expected you to be there. You're alive, aren't you? Marcus sneered. All this drama for nothing. Grace gasped. Nothing. Her heart stopped on the table, Marcus. While you were watching men hit balls with sticks, your mother was technically dead for 30 seconds. Their faces paled. You never told us that, Jamal whispered. You never asked, I replied. You sent generic flowers and went about your lives. Marcus's expression hardened. So that's it? 30 years of family just over? Because we're not getting a second chance? You've had thousands of second chances, I said quietly. This was just the last one. Marcus suddenly lunged forward, grabbing my arm. You're not doing this to us. I won't let you. Grace immediately pulled out her phone. Let her go right now or I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Marcus shouted, tightening his grip. She's the one assaulting us, with this letter, with these accusations. Marcus, Jamal warned, let go of Mom. She's ruining our lives over nothing. Marcus's fingers dug into my skin. Let go of me. I enunciated each word, staring into the eyes of the stranger my son had become. When he didn't, Grace dialed 911. Fine. Marcus released me, shoving me backward. I stumbled against the coffee table. You'll regret this, Mom. I promise you will. Is that a threat? Grace asked, the dispatcher now on the line. It's a fact, Marcus spat, storming toward the door. Come on, Jamal, we're leaving. Jamal hesitated, looking between us. Mom, please. Go with your brother, I said softly. You always do. After they left, Grace reported the incident to the police, who took photographs of the bruises forming on my arm. I filed for a restraining order that same day. The judge reviewed my petition for a permanent restraining order against Marcus. Your Honor, my attorney said, Miss Richardson has provided photographic evidence of bruising consistent with her account, as well as witness testimony corroborating the threat. The judge granted the order, requiring Marcus to stay at least 500 feet away from me, my home, and workplace for 2 years. Outside the courthouse, Jamal approached me, keeping a legal distance. Mom, he called. Can we talk? Please. Denise stepped protectively closer. She doesn't have to talk to you. It's okay, I told her, then turned to Jamal. 5 minutes. We sat on opposite ends of a bench while Denise watched from a distance. I left Marcus's place, Jamal started. What he did was wrong. Yes, it was. I'm really sorry about everything. The game, not calling after your procedure, all of it. I studied his face, searching for the little boy I used to know. Why are you here, Jamal? What do you want? I want my mom back, he said simply. I miss you. The mom you miss doesn't exist anymore, I replied. She died for 30 seconds on that table, and when she came back, she had clarity. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Multiple choices that showed me exactly where I stand with my sons. So that's it? No forgiveness, ever? I forgive you, I said, surprising him. Forgiveness is for me, not you. It means I won't let anger consume me. But it doesn't mean there aren't consequences, and it doesn't mean reconciliation. But we're family, he insisted. Family shows up, Jamal. Family doesn't have to be asked to be there during life and death situations. What can I do to fix this? Nothing. Some things can't be fixed. They can only be accepted. A week later, I sat in Miguel's office at the bank, finalizing the paperwork for my new scholarship foundation. The Second Chance Scholarship, Miguel read, for single parents pursuing higher education. That's wonderful, Zariah. Something good should come from all this, I said. That evening, I hosted dinner for the people who had truly shown up for me: Denise, Grace, Miguel, and two other friends. To new beginnings, Denise toasted, raising her glass. And to showing up, Grace added. Later, as we watched the sunset, Grace asked, "Do you ever think you'll let them back into your life?" I thought about the baseball trophies I'd packed away, the photo albums I'd closed. I don't know, I answered honestly. But what I do know is that I'm no longer living my life waiting for them to become the sons I thought they were. I'm living for me now. Good for you, Miguel said, squeezing my hand. As the sky darkened, I felt something I hadn't experienced in decades. Peace. The weight of constant disappointment had lifted. "What's next for Zariah Richardson?" Denise asked, smiling. I looked at my friends, my real family, and for the first time in months, I smiled without reservation. "Everything," I said. "Everything I've been putting off while waiting for them to notice me. Travel, art classes, maybe even dating." "Look out, world," Grace laughed. As night fell, I wondered if my sons were at another baseball game, if they ever thought about what they'd lost, if they ever truly understood what it meant to show up for someone you love. But for the first time, the answer didn't define me. What about you? Have you ever had to make the difficult choice to prioritize your own well-being over family expectations? How did you find the courage to stand firm in your boundaries? Share your story in the comments below,